Good morning, good afternoon, good evening here today. This is the show that takes you through our ServiceNow community and not only provides you with answers, but how we get to those answers, the thought process behind it, the insights, the investigation, the experimentation, all of that stuff that goes on that you can take back to your organization and be more effective as a ServiceNow administrator or developer. Because that's what I'm all about. I learn something, I share it, and help you. And I hope you do the same thing. When you learn something and you share something, we do this show every day on YouTube. You can find the URL right there at the bottom of the screen. I think it's on that side. To the old kids with the weatherman thing, you don't know what hand is going up. It's not a mirrored display. When I wave my right hand, it's the right hand on the screen. So you can find that URL. If you subscribe, you get notified when this stream shows up and when new content is added. If you find something interesting or helpful or just want to let other people know that it's a great show, give the old like on there if you want to get subscribed and get notifications. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for those that are watching. You can also give a shout out in the chat room. Be happy to respond back to you. Raise a cup of hot tea for you. Chamomile in the morning gets me going. Good morning, Rahul. Good to see you here again. Rahul is one of our regulars. I suspect he actually beat Carolyn. I suspect Carolyn's out there. She's usually the first one to give a shout out. But good morning, Abdul. I also invite you to watch us on Twitch. If that's your prerogative, you're more than welcome to. I know there are some that watch that. And thank you very much for watching there. It's simulcast to both. The Twitch stream stays around for about 2 weeks. YouTube stays around forever. So if you've got questions about ServiceNow, the platform, one of the products, some question you've got, some issue you've got, you want to dig in further, please post that over to the community at community.servicenow.com. I try not to answer those in the context of this show, unless it's part of the community, because if it's just in the chat, it's very hard to reference later, very hard to find. Good morning, Todd, Mr. TV 20013 checking in, Lilit, and ServiceNow fan, and Steve is back. And Rugapal. And there's Carolyn. Everybody's got a good morning. Good morning, or in many cases, good evening to some of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am in your debt for you spending time, hopefully learning a thing or two, sharing information. This is a two-way conversation, as you can tell from the chat going on in the YouTube chat. I run into sticky points sometimes, and you guys bail me out. It's a wonderful thing. Let's continue with the pre-roll while other people are logging on, getting their alerts, getting set up, poking holes in their firewalls. No, I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen, so you can watch YouTube, right? My alert didn't go off for whatever reason. Must be an odd morning. Sometimes it takes a few minutes. I wonder why you stopped working with Andrew Kincaid. It was fun. Andrew and I went in different directions in the company. He's still with ServiceNow. He is a developer in a very specific spot, and I do consult with him on occasion. So good question. The early Tech Now series is what he's referring to. Is I think episodes 1 through roughly 20. We're done with Andrew Kincaid. We were on the same team. We started. That's where we had this idea. Worked very well together. I love the guy dearly. He's very smart, very entertaining. We work well off of each other. And unfortunately, his job didn't have the bandwidth to support his continuing to do Tech Now. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I was fortunate enough to be able. There was a dry spell, I think in 2014, where I didn't have much content, and that's when I started exploring. Should we get Craig Stepp and Dave Slusher, and then Dave Slusher step back? So it's a very fluid thing. It's like any TV show that you've seen. You know, actors come and go based on their schedule. So yeah, he still lives on in the Tech Now. It's fun to watch his hair length change through the series. It's short, it's long, it's short. He moved, I moved. It's like you can follow the journey as you go along. The technology changes, the background changes. It's fun. Good morning, Akash. All right, where were we? We were on the community. If you are new to the community, I invite you to quickly scan over some of these. Remember to provide context for your questions. What are you trying to do? What's the business requirement? Rather than just saying, hey, can I pass 3 parameters to a script include? that gets a little tough. It looks like YouTube is a bit further behind than Twitch this morning. Very odd. And the color is different on the two screens. I don't know who's doing the coloring. This shirt should be light green. Tie should be dark green. It almost looks black. But the backgrounds, I'm noticing, are considerably different on the two different screens. Anyway, the experts make a blog article. You can make a video as well. It's not that hard. If you need information, happy to share. That's what this community is all about. I'm off my game here. Developer.servicenow.com is where you can get a free personal developer instance running London, running Kingston, or running Jakarta. You can try out any of those three. You can upgrade from Jakarta and Kingston to London and practice your upgrade process before you do it for real in your organization. You can also get all of the scripting APIs, learning plans, and of course, Meetups. Let's put that subtitle away. Meetups can be found on the developer portal, but they're also more detailed, and you RSVP over at meetup.com. Lots of them coming up, including one in Charlotte, North Carolina tonight. If you're in that neighborhood, you might want to stop by. This is their kickoff. I like launching new chapters, but I couldn't make it out there tonight because, had I known a few months in advance, I could have been there tonight, because tomorrow I officially start my vacation for the Labor Day holiday weekend. That would have been fun, but the whole Charlotte thing came up a little bit in the last 30 days or so, and I'm disappointed. I wish I could change my flight. I could then I could get work to pay for the flight out. That would have been. Oh, if only I had known. If only I had known. I'd love to have been to Charlotte tonight. One, work could pay for the flights for my vacation. Two, Charlotte, new chapter. It's fun stuff. All right, I'm going to get out there at some point. I'm going to get there. I want to get to every one of the chapters. There's now, I think, 48 of them. Oh, crazy, crazy. Where were we? We were on Meetups, other events over at events.html. You can find out those. Do a little searching. You can look by calendar. You can look by region. You can look by type. There are now forums, now summits, developer days coming up. If you're new to the platform, you want to learn how to start developing, Developer Days San Diego's coming up on the 26th, 27th. Good thing I had it on the screen. I almost forgot the dates. And I'm supposed to be there too. We also have the next Tech Now in the series coming up. We were just talking about doing that with Andrew Kincaid. Now it's Stacey Bailey, Craig Stepp, and me. We're going to be talking about Integration Hub. I was playing around with this a little bit yesterday, not specifically for this webinar, but practicing for something for Developer Days, building a custom Integration Hub spoke. And it's fascinating how you can get into the parameters of the path, the input variables, the output variables, the input parameters, to the step, to the action. It can get a bit overwhelming, so you might want to follow along with this. We've got a very good workshop available from CreatorCon that I was working on. I can't remember the number at the moment. I'll try to get that to you a little later. And you can try that on your free personal developer instance. You can turn on Integration Hub and start messing around with that stuff to do your custom integrations and extend the capabilities of Integration Hub beyond that. If you want to find all those episodes, including the Andrew Kincaid ones that we talked about earlier, you can look at that bit.ly link on the bottom, ServiceNow-TechNow. That's been around for a while, and I do my best to keep that list maintained and the episodes coming up. We will have a registration link for this in the next few days. I just turned in all my paperwork yesterday. It's being reviewed, it's being approved, and we should have a registration link. As soon as I have it, I will put that on this page, and I will put that in the show notes and on the Tech Now page and on the post. You'll see it'll start popping up. Register here, register now, sign up now, something like that. We'll have that available for you. Alrighty, I have one more couple of things to do. Customer Success Center over at servicenow.com/success. Lots of best practices, lots of good information about continuing your journey, whether you are just starting or whether you are a very experienced customer. If you want to know how to implement a CMDB or customizations versus configuration, when should I do which and why, and what should I watch out for? Upgrades is the one that I wrote. And we've got some video coming out on that on the 12th, I believe it is, for the ServiceNow kickoff that we've got there. So, asked in an interview, how does ServiceNow parse the incoming SOAP XML into a staging table? You got asked that on an interview question? That's pretty harsh. What'd you answer? I want to know, what did you answer for that question? I am trying a new microphone, so hopefully you can hear me all right. It sounds a little loud. If it's overdriven, if it's starting to peak out and buzz, let me know. I can back that off. It's a little louder than previous casts. So I've been playing with the position of the microphones. It was down here on my right, and I kept bumping it, and it was picking up the key clicks too much. And if I tapped the table or the soundboard, it would vibrate right into the microphone. So now it's suspended overhead. I feel like a movie star. There's a microphone right up here. Hi, microphone. Say hello. A little bit of peek behind. My arm's cut off. Oh, here, we could do that with the hand. The hand holding the PDA. Fun with green screens. That's what it's all about. Have we done anything in the community yet? Not quite. We have to tell you that any code written today, and I will be writing some today, is available in GitHub at the URL there. You can find that and reference it later. Was that a PDA? Mobile? Tablet? I don't know what it is. I'm an old timer. I might still have a PDA if I look hard enough around here. I thought I e-cycled all of those. All right, let's get into this. Here's the community, again, over at community.servicenow.com, where you can post your questions, research. Remember, search first if you have a question. It's likely that it may have been answered after about 10 years of community. There's a lot of stuff in here that you can find. I normally would start by going to unreplied and seeing what's new. However, I forgot to bring up my Google Drive information. Let's do that real quick. I have a link that I've been working on for the last couple of days, and I want to get that moving. I want to show you something that they said, hey, I have a question. Can you provide me with the code to do this? They're working with event management. What is that? That's not what I clicked. Oh no, did I lose it? Yeah, that's not the right link. But I can fortunately find the link through my inbox. It was in here. Incident, there it is. I know I checked that out. So I said, what they're looking to do is use event management, which creates alerts. And if the event creates an incident, then it's created by the alert user. All right, so I'm going to simulate that. And anytime the what is it called? Create now in incident, the field where you can have a phone connection, you can have it come in via email. I'm not remembering the name of that field, but I will find it. Contact type. There it is. So if contact type is alert, they wanted to make the caller ID the name of the value in the created by field. Now, the name in the created by field is a dot name. It's not a reference field. It'd be like Chuck.Tomasi. That's not a sysid, and you can't simply copy it in. And what's even worse is they were trying a literal value. So we got this all working. They said, well, it's just not working for me. I threw in a code sample, and I'm going to start with that. I said, look, you could do this in a business rule when you create is right there. And they said, well, the value in syscreatedby I can look up via username. So let's start with that. Later on, we created an entire business rule around that. And code. Here's mine where contact type is alert. And then it will take the name from created by. I am going to go to my personal developer instance available for free over at developer.servicenow.com. Sorry, glanced over into the chat and lost track of where I was. Let me also bring up my editor, and I'm going to put this code into a business rule. So business rules have an on execute. We need a new paste. Before we paste that in, I'm going to use my macro to get the on execute framework in there, and then paste that in. And then we can do the little indentation thing if you wish. Whoop. Oh, are these spaces right? I can use a tab. I can use a tab. Hooray! It's a real editor. Okay, put that in there. Let's get rid of those extra spaces. Nicely done. Oh, it's even smart enough to recognize. I don't use VS Code, or haven't used it much other than writing Markdown code. All right, so there is my initial business rule. Let me give that a quick save so that I get my JavaScript coloration in there. We'll put it in a folder for today. New folder, 2018-08-28. It is the 28th. I'll try to get one more show in tomorrow, and we will call this business rule set color.js. And if I put the JS, it goes, oh, it's JavaScript. You want me to color it this way. All right, so here is my script. And let me go through this with you. So it's nice and friendly readable. I like to put a few extra spaces in here. I instantiate a glide record object on sysuser. I then try to get the user from the username. Now, this is a shorthand notation, as I mentioned before, of doing user.addQuery username, and then putting in that value of whatever it is, and then doing user.query, and then, of course, doing an if user.next. Okay, those three lines can all be collapsed down into this one, because I only have one query parameter, and it's only, theoretically, going to return one user. So if I can get the username, the dot notation, sys created by, as I mentioned, is a string. If I look at any of the incidents, here's some incidents open, get rid of that shortcut, configure the list to created by, whoop, where is it? They're alphabetic, and Chuck can't count today. Created by, I look in the list and add that. It is Chuck.Tomasi, admin, these are users, ITIL. Now the reason I put an if in there is because there are some names in there. I may have logged in, or ServiceNow may have logged in with an account that's not in the sysuser table. Support can do this. If they make changes, it will leave their footprints behind. Mine will say Chuck.Tomasi at SNC. So that means I can't find this in the user table, which means this part will get skipped if it doesn't work. Lalit says, one more question. JavaScript is classless language. How does it access the toString method of object class? Did I call the folder the wrong thing? Now Steve's got me wondering. If not, I'll fix it later. It's not pushed to GitHub yet, so not a problem. I will fix that. Thank you for your astuteful eyes. There we go. So the record gets this, and then it sets it. Now, because I'm modifying something in current, this is going to be a before business rule. So let's go and create a new business rule. I'm in the CLS project, my community live stream. It's sort of my dumping ground whenever I want to experiment with something, and then I can uninstall all this stuff and not worry about it. I did turn off that REST API from yesterday. I went into Studio, create a new file, server development, business rule. Because CLS is my scoped app, I am making changes on top of the incident application in a scoped environment. This is a very easy way to contain all of those changes that you make, yet be able to publish them, so no update sets, that kind of thing. So follow along if you like. This is going to be set caller ID to created by. Technically, the field is called sys created by, and this one is called caller ID. On the table incident, come on. It's going to be advanced because I do need a little bit of script, so I check that. It's going to run before because I'm modifying something on current. There's no current.update in here. I'm using the implicit one that happens right after all the before rules run. Only on insert. I'm not going to do this. We double checked this last night with the person who wanted this, and they said, no, I don't want to update that caller every time, and I don't want to do a glide record query every time the record is updated. There's no condition on this, So we're going to leave that empty. We're just going to jump to the advanced section and paste our code in there, make sure that it's nicely formatted. And apparently I have a missing brace, parenthesis. Fix that, and away we go. So let's go fix that over here too. I don't want to give you guys crazy code. Cursor's at the bottom. Come on, cursor, jump up to the top. I'm not sure what's up with that. Please put in a curly brace. There. Save that. Update that. Back to our business rule. No conditioning here, so it's going to run only on a new record. Thanks, Josh, for the validation on the volume. Now, I am going to submit that, but I'm also going to create a sample case, br set caller test. Oops. So let's put in here var gr. I'm going to call it inc gr, new glad record. This is my unit test incident, so that I can do something like inc gr auto sysfields false. Now what that does is it's not going to update the created by the mod time, but I don't remember what it does for the created by. What I'm hoping is I can do incgr dot, I'm logged in as me, right? I'm on that instance as Chuck? Okay. So let's do that. Oh, where'd I go? Over here. Unit test. I don't really need that. I'm going to use something other than admin. Let's comment that out for now. Just as a test, let's make sure that it's me. And I'll put short description equals unit test and incgr.insert. Okay, so there's a new record that I created. It's not going to be very exciting to watch. Let's go over to scripts background, take that and say, here we go. We're going to create a new incident. Oh, you know what I forgot? One of our standard, put it in here. Let's put in incgr.newRecord. Yeah, that'd be nice. So we get our default values set. Paste that in, run it. And you can tell it's London because it tells you all the stuff that was updated. Look at, just from that one insert, it updated a bunch of other stuff. That's crazy. Okay. Execute operation, read, d. Let's go see if we have a new incident that says this, unit test, caller is Chuck Tomasi. I did not do that. Now, just to prove that my business rule is in fact working, let's deactivate it and save it and run that script again. So back to scripts background. I should get a blank on this one. Let's go back to incidents open, and there's the new record with no caller. So I've got this one with no caller that was created because my business rule is turned off. I got this one that does work. So something in the way that this person is saying it's not working for me is different than what I did. So I'm going to include screenshots. And I said, I will I said, look, I'm going to do this on the community live stream for you today. Hopefully you're watching and that answered your question. But just in case, let's put up a reply to this one that says, I just built this out and tested it. Seems to be working for me. Here's the code. And we'll put in the little code editor. That's not the code editor, that's the HTML. Little code snippet sample. Make that smaller so my OK shows up. Not that one. Save that as br caller ID unit test.js. Save that. We don't want that. We want this. Kaboom. Paste that. And I will also give you free of charge the screenshots from the business rule. Here we are. Let's activate that just so the screenshot is accurate. Screenshot number 1. Please sign in. Boom. Clip that. And paste there. Yeah, I know. It looks crazy until you actually get it up close. Back to Studio. Get the bottom part. When to run. I don't think there's anything interesting below that. There was not. When to run looks like that. Back to here. Paste that. Back to Studio. This is the exciting part, kids. You don't want to miss the copy and paste part of the show. Copy and paste. Looks about as exciting as watching paint dry. And there you go. We have a bell. So that should give you enough information to actually make it work. If it doesn't work for you, then check the details. Something is wrong. I'm going to now turn that business rule back off. Oh, it was. So I can just quit out of here. Do you want to save your changes? I want to leave without saving changes. I'm going to leave. Nah, I'm not going to leave Studio up. Let's not get tab crazy. Reload the inbox page, see if anything new has come in while we were talking. The answer is no. Nothing in the inbox. Great. Let's go see what's new. And what is class create function used in script includes? So, question is, what is class create used in script includes? If I go back, you're going to make me open Studio. I just closed it. Thanks. If I go to Studio, create application, server development, script include, it offers me up some free code when I say something like test. This is what we call a prototype format layout, and it gives you the ability to define functions that need to, you instantiate these. So when you do a new test, so you say var t equals new test in your code, you would use it like this, t equals new test. That's what instantiates all of these and now makes methods available to you. So if you had a method like foo function string, let's not name things after data types. It's a little bit dangerous. Avoid keywords. You could say return string plus exclamation point, whatever. So if you want to know more about script includes, go watch episode 6 of Tech Now, available at bit.ly/ServiceNow-TechNow. Find episode 6 on that list, and you can watch it there. So lots more information. There's different ways. You can have a script include that does not have that part in. It just says function foo and defines a function for you. That is perfectly legitimate as long as this is also called foo. Okay, works like a global business rule. It's just a function out there that you can invoke at any time. Does not require new. You would just say var t equals foo, and it's available to you. So script includes are a great way to make repositories of server-side code. There's a third way you can do this where you have the dotted notation without you can have a set of functions in here, but I'm not going to get into that today. Let's close that. Now I'm just going to leave it open. We'll see how long it takes for me to get back into Studio. Go here, unreplied, help with unchanged script for date variable. Dates in client scripts drive me bananas. I prefer to do my date manipulation on the server side. There's more methods available to you. I want to display a variable when a date selected is more than 5 business days in the past. Here's what I've started. As I mentioned, get date format. They're using new date, current date object, start date. Yeah, but there are articles. I don't remember where they are. Let's see if we can find them real fast in the community. Community.servicenow.com. Let's do a quick search. Date functions. I thought there was a nice blog article. Nice thing about this is I can change this down to, where was it? Content type blogs. Convert date to date time. That's one of my old ones. Auto-populating, auto-validating, date time, Format service portal, develop Amazon Alexa. We have a lot of date time articles. Community code snippets, articles, list to date, comparing client dates. Not seeing it. It's what I was looking for. Custom charts, working with, ADN. All right. Because date formats change from user to user and system to system, I recommend using server-side code. A glide AJAX call to process this on the server side. You can use a method like gs.daysago -5 to compare with the current date or the date the user entered. Managing dates and times. Let's make that a little bigger again. Managing dates and times with glide date time objects on the server is easier. Then your script include can return whatever value, true, false, days, number of days, whatever you like. Back to the client to process. Let's see. You can find out more about Glide Ajax on episodes 5, 6, and 33 of Tech Now. There's only a few I have memorized. Ta-da! Is it going to show me the link when it hovers over? Nope. Okay. I wasn't sure if I used my bit.ly link when I did that or not. Let's take another one. Oh, almost forgot. Thank you. Unreplied. Discovery issue. Report to... I'm not getting into discovery issue. That probably should be in the ITOM section anyway. Make sure if you are posting a question to the community that you put it in the right forum so that you get the maximum number of expert eyeballs. If you put it in the wrong section, you might get lucky and find somebody who's happens to be there. If there are people specifically around discovery who happen to be subscribed to the ITOM or the discovery forum in particular, they will get alerts. They'll get an email in their inbox that says, hey, there's a new article about discovery, and they can rush over there to the community and help you out. Well, maybe, hopefully rush over there. Performance analytics and reporting, how to show outstanding approver groups for changes by planned start date. How to show outstanding approver groups for changes by planned start date. It doesn't sound that difficult for some reason, but I just don't have the data set to back that up and make a report. But you could make a list by planned start date. What? So you'd want an approver, how many approvers are due on Tuesday, how many approver groups are due on Wednesday? Yes, I think. That doesn't sound that difficult. I would start with a list report. I mean, honestly, I don't even think I need a report to do that. I would go to sysapproval. Is it approval group? Darn, I can't remember the name of the group table now. It's sysapproval under group, sysapproval under... There's one way to find this out. Go to system definition, tables, and look for tables that start with sysapproval _% sysapproval under group. Okay, take that and that dot list, and from there we could say we want changes. So the approval is, we need to put that on the list somewhere. What is it, approval 4? Is it already up there? Maybe it's not in here anymore. It's the record, so you need to put in, not the correlation ID. Oh, you know what? The approvers, that's all on the approvers group. The approval group is a group of approvers. So can you even dot walk? Not that way. This is interesting. So there's the parent record. So it's going to be the parent class. So let's do this. Let's go to the bottom of the list, say show related fields. I completely missed on that. Let's try it again. Show related fields. Then we can get to dot walk to parent. Class type, or parent.task type, excuse me. Parent.task type is change request. First, filter out all the non-changes. If you want to know about your unapproved changes, you can find it there. So where was I? I didn't even click this thing to open it up. I need a report that shows all outstanding changes that are in a state of pending approval that contain headings of number, summary plan, headings, schmeddings, where approval is requested. I would have expected this to be a basic function that all change managers require, and I'm somewhat surprised it isn't readily available. We can't write all reports for all people. We could provide a few out-of-box examples, but reports are where things usually go off the exponential scale, and that's crazy. Okay, and we should also be able to do parent, state. Is it the parent state? Go back to this one. Where approval is requested. Oh, that's easy. That's not even, we don't even need that one. Let's go back to the approval fields. Group approval fields. State is, oh, that's right. Okay, so we do need the parent approval field. The state on sysapproval group. Sysapproval group is actually, I believe it's extended from task. That's why you see a parent field on here and not the approval for field. Sysapproval underscore approver is the user approval record. So there is a notable difference in here. It behaves entirely different, and there's a different set of fields. So I do need to go to parent task, approval is requested. So that's how we get that. And was there any other requirement in there that I missed? Adjust headings per your requirement. Where the changes that are in a state of pending approval that contains, well, that's a bit redundant, because if you check for changes that are in a state of a pending approval and the approval is requested, I don't know how you could get any other place. Oh, if you had multiple groups that need to approve, that would be a different scenario. Okay, well, changes that are in a state of pending approval, still going to be pending approval. Okay, here's my answer. I'm going to try and reply to this. Let's run this so I get the breadcrumbs, and then I can expand the filter again. And does it actually say change is approved? No, parent approval is requested. Why would that say approved? Well, let's take that out with filter out. Make my filter a little bit better. Now it says approval is not approved. So here's a bunch of change requests that meet that requirement. I didn't build it with the filter tool, I just did it with the right click. Easy enough. And also note that it sticks in none. We talked about this a little bit before. I'm surprised when you do a filter out or a show matching that sometimes it sticks on this or condition for you, even though it doesn't show up anywhere else. Let's grab a screenshot of that. And back to his message. Here's one I built quickly from the sysapproval group table using the basic list filters. Ding. Hopefully that's enough information. We'll get that one going. Back to the top of the community. It is 20 minutes to the top of the hour. Can this date validation be done using UI policy condition field? Possibly. That's a good question. Let's find out. Let's go to Studio, Client Development, UI Policy. I don't know if days ago is available on the condition. So let's take, for example, it only lets me do 2 tables in here. I think my demo table has a date in it. I'm not sure. And here we'll say created is at or before. Can you do 5 days ago? There's a specific date. Don't want that. Last 15 minutes, last 7 days. Yeah, that's going to be a little tough given the ones that we've got here. 1 year ago, the conditions here don't really give you the flexibility of doing that in the condition builder. There are fixed intervals in there. So I don't see a way that you could quickly do that with the condition builder, but it's a very good thought if you want to do 7 days. Lalit, I salute you with another sip of tea. Thank you very much. Let's go do another one. Need help in a code. 3 is a code. I don't know what it unlocks, but it's a code. I want to see users who have the same names and same managers. I was able to see user IDs who has more than one username, but cannot do the logic to find user with the same manager. So they're doing a glide aggregate, counting on name, making sure it's not empty, making sure it's true. Well, active is a Boolean. You're looking for a string. That's part of the problem right there. And if they get that, then they're doing number 2 string for some reason. Oh, never mind. They're pushing it into an array. But over here they're just pushing it. What do you get? What do you get when you do that? Okay. Let's do a quick reply. The first thing I noted is that you are treating active as a string. When you use active as a field in a query, be sure to use true and not true. Example, add query active true. Second question, what do you see when you run this script? Second question is, do you have data that has this issue? More than one matching username. Third question is, why are you doing this? If you're looking for duplicate data, then I wouldn't look on the name field. The name field is the display value. I could have 3 John Smiths. If you want to see if they are duplicate, if all 3 of those John Smiths have the same manager, then you might want to be looking for something a little more unique, like the user ID or the user underscore name field or the email address field. Okay, first question is, what's the underlying requirement? First question, what's the underlying requirement for this? If you are looking for duplicate data, I wouldn't use the name field to do so. I would look for something more unique like the email address or username field. Okay. You raised the question. There we are. Thank you, Shusavit. So maybe you can answer some of those questions for me. I sneezed earlier and I don't want to start sniffing my nose. So What are you? Help me understand what you're trying to do. Or reply to the community so the community can follow along too. Whenever there's something of like, hey, I need help with code, you'll get 100 people on there. And I want to make sure that the answer matches the requirement. It's easy to write code that does a thing, but is that thing the answer to what you need help for? Blocking REST API access in Kingston. Oh boy. Hello, with Kingston being out for a while, has anyone found a good way to come about restricting API access out of the box? There was a community post answered by Chuck Tomasi, but I can't find anything after that. This is where I go, what did I say? Let's take a look. I don't remember. If I'm going to go into my past and say, I hope it said ACLs. Okay, so here's what I learned. Currently, the best practice is secure the tables from any access according to the browser REST API. If user needs read access from a customer table, for example, they have it when and where they need it. If they don't, they don't. The credentials are the key. Separating the REST access from the table access is not present at this point. That being said, we have heard the request from the customers and responding to the feature with the default REST access to deny. When was this answered? 11 months ago. Okay. So it was Jakarta time frame. I heard this is coming in Kingston, but because it is not released, I have not heard anything further on this. So I will respond. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I have not heard anything further on this. But that doesn't mean someone snuck it in while I wasn't looking. There are lots of platform features that get implemented that I haven't heard about. Support may know, let's do customer support. Customer support may know more about the details of whether or not this feature has been implemented. If not, then I still recommend ACLs as the proper way to restrict access via web services and web browser. And I'm sticking to it. More chat stuff. Yes, a reply in the community. Okay, cool. Great. I'll take a look there in a second. I should see a response in my inbox in just a little bit. Well, let's do a quick refresh. Wow, time is flying today. You know what they say about time going fast when you're having fun. We must be having fun. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Help with on-change script for date variable. Here we go. Take now episode list. That was the date variable. Change to this line if diff 8600 make it greater for the variables. All right. Good question. Back to our incident caller set by ID. Look how many levels of indent this is getting. Unfortunately, I tried this. However, I was not working while creating an incident via alert form. I tried achieving this via script include, which is out of the box for alert and incident conversation. I have got the solution from Sajeev and is working fine below. So they do a modified as script include. Be careful. You now own that script include. Okay, well, look at the icons are stacked up here. This is crazy. While I'm glad you got your solution, I want to remind you that you have modified an out-of-box script include, which means you now own that file. When it comes to upgrades, any changes ServiceNow provides will not be pushed to you unless you reconcile and choose to take that upgrade over the change you made. Best of luck. You have crossed into the land of dragons. Okay, that's not to say you can't modify out-of-box stuff, but be very, very conscious. This is where upgrades become a risk, and you can get caught down in testing upgrades and making sure it's an additional thing that you did because somebody said, hey, I want this field to match that field. I still prefer to do it in the business rule. I'm not familiar with alert management. There may be some subtleties that are creating this incident that are not triggering the business rule, whatever. I should have put in a condition for the contact type in there as well, but I consider this hereby closed. Let's go back and look at anything else that's new. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, there were a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. We already did that one. We already did this one. Okay, we did both of these. Let's get rid of those. Those were done. Ben Phillips wrote in yesterday. He asked me, I believe it was on LinkedIn, and said, how do I become an architect? I've been a ServiceNow architect, at least it said so in my title, at least once. Not sure, maybe twice in my career I've been an architect. And while there's no certification for being an architect, I said, it's an excellent question. An architect in my mind is someone that knows a broad enough skill set to understand how the pieces connect. If somebody says, I need a ServiceNow architect, do you understand enough about ITSM and ITOM and the platform and HR and facilities to understand how that can drive your business forward? It's just like being a systems architect instead of a system admin. A system admin is very good at setting up and managing one particular system. If you were a ServiceNow admin, then you would know how to import users. You would know how to create fields and tables and do some lightweight development stuff. But you may not know how that talks to Salesforce or Microsoft SharePoint or whatever. How are these pieces supposed to fit together on an overall system architectural level? That's not to say you need to have the skills to do all of these implementations, but to know, hey, this one provides a REST API, therefore I can import it via REST over here. That other system doesn't provide REST API. We're going to have to find a different mechanism. And what are the channels and exchanges? Or from an infrastructure standpoint, can I connect this particular storage array to this particular system, and will this database run on that operating system? So do all of these pieces fit together? How are you architecting the solution? And then you let the administrators and developers do the technical implementation for you. Take the requirements and architect the solution. So that's my vision of what an architect is. Very hard to say, what does it take to be a ServiceNow architect? Okay, I know it because I am familiar with the platform. I have been a system architect in previous roles because I helped create solutions. It's a very broad knowledge. Kind of like your doctor is a general practitioner rather than a specialist ear, nose, and throat, or podiatrist is a foot doctor. Okay, the general practitioner, I would say, is more of a body architect. They know how to diagnose, they know how to treat a wide variety of things, but when it comes to the specialization, they don't get into that and they refer you. That's kind of how I see a system architect, is your general practitioner of how things connect together, what's related to what information passes it from A to B, B to C. Maybe it's a hub and spoke design. Okay, that's what you're architecting. Am I doing a bus design when I create this data interchange, or am I doing a hub and spoke, or am I doing point to point? What is the architecture of these solutions? Hey, Chuck, can you please quickly create a practical example of restricting REST access using ACL? That gets to my point that I just made. It's not restricting REST access, it's restricting access. Okay, if I log in as Chuck.Tomasi via a curl command, I have to have access to the tables that I have access to. The access is not controlled whether it's REST or whether it's not. That's the access. All right. I suppose, I hadn't thought about this before, but I suppose you could write an ACL that you'd have to go through and modify all the ACLs to say, I'm only going to grant this if it's interactive. Use gs.isinteractive to do that. But I don't want to go through and modify all the ACLs. I'd rather say Chuck has access to this table. I don't care whether he's looking at it in the web browser or he's looking at it in the REST API. Chuck has access to this table. I'm not sure I understand why people want to deny REST access exclusively. Why would you help me understand what the use case is to say Chuck should not have REST access to this table? I know I use that on a daily basis to one of our systems internally. I made myself a little curl commander, or is it curl or Perl? One of the two, that reaches out to our internal system and says, I'm looking for David in the employee directory, and it will return me a nicely formatted phone list. I do this from the terminal window. I say script name and the parameter, and it sends out the REST command, brings it back, parses it up, and formats it on the screen. That way I don't have to open up a web browser. I still have access to the same records, the same table. If somebody says, Chuck, you don't have access to the users where active equals true, maybe there's an ACL that says you must have active is true to get read access to this, so that Chuck doesn't have access to legacy employees. That's not the case right now, but I'm making that up. Then I would not have that via the browser if I went to the same sys user table, and I would not have that via the REST API. So control your access via the ACLs. So display business rule goes with its name, it only modifying data before showing it to the end user. However, I wonder, why do we have delete operation for delete business rule? That's a good question. I've often wondered that myself. Normally you do a display business rule when things are red. There's a number of curiosities like that you would think that the UI policy would turn a couple of those checkboxes off based on the choice of the when field. Don't know. All right, the other thing I wanted to show you real quick is many-to-many tables. I'm going to try and get this in. You know what? No, not going to have time for this. I will save that for tomorrow. I'll make it one of the things that I get to in tomorrow's show. I'll even make it bold so that when I copy this over to tomorrow's notes, we have that. Just a quick check on the inbox, make sure that we have blocking REST API. Oh, we got a follow-up comment here. Oh, it was marked correct. Okay. Incident caller set by created by. We've got the correct answer there. Wonderful. Need help in the code. Facing issue where duplicate user profiles are being created via Workday. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Probably want to check the import set. Sounds like there's a root cause problem where you might not be coalescing on the right information, whether it's employee ID or email address or something when Workday brings it in, but I won't go beyond that. So I want to see how many duplicate user profiles are being created, who has the same manager and same name. I wouldn't do it that way. I wouldn't. The name is not unique enough, in my opinion, to do that correctly. Pick what is unique and look for that. If it's the user ID, as I mentioned, you could have two John Smiths, but one's employee number 1054 and one is employee number 1156. So those are two different people. But if you're looking for uniqueness and you see two records that have employee ID 1054, you know you've got a duplicate there. So I would change the query. Instead of looking for uniqueness among name, look for it on employee ID, look for it on an email address. That's often unique across any organization, is you will have John Smith at acme.com and John Smith 2 at acme.com to identify those two different parties. So I have a couple questions related to HR Service Scope app. Can I ask them here? No, because I'm about to sign off. And nobody would find it if they were looking later. Shalini, please go to the community at community.servicenow.com and post your information there. Make sure you put it in the HR group. So if I look under communities HR service delivery, that's probably where you want to put it to get the most eyeballs around HR. You'll get people who know the HR application. I am not an HR specialist. I am a platform specialist. The focus of my career has been in custom applications and integrations. So those are the types of questions that I can answer for you. Again, but answering them in a YouTube chat, I don't know how many people have actually ever gone back to say, oh, that episode in January where Chuck talked about blah, blah, blah. He answered a question on. Okay, great if you want to view along and follow along and learn, but very difficult to search and reference months in advance. If you search the community for HR service delivery or whatever your particular question is, calculating risk or something, terminating employees, whatever the question is, you will have a much easier time searching it in the community that way. Just like I did with the date searching, although there's lots and lots of articles and postings on dates. So that's going to take care of it for me today. Thank you very much for joining. I hope to see you again here tomorrow. It's been a wonderful time. Good exchange of information. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. So take care, have fun, share something, learn something, help other people out. Bye now.